there's a nice tie-in between the first Tony Robbins video that I posted yesterday, where Tony's talking about rituals and how rituals shape the way his outcomes start to show up for him. He uses a ritualistic approach. I think there's a lot of ritualism and ritualizing in Tony's psychology. He seems to have a sort of a ritualistic nature to it. And he directs those rituals in his case, and I think there's more to it than this, but in Tony's case, it seems a lot of those rituals are directed toward powerful self-motivation. He eliminates all extraneous information and he zeroes in. He's a very, very convergent thinker. So that's an interesting distinction to think about, being a convergent thinker. Tony is so convergent. He converges directly on what it is that he believes his outcome is and creates a state of total must. He must achieve that. And that's how he uses his rituals. I am suggesting, and even when you think about his questions, by the way, he speaks a lot about questions, but his questions are very much in the service of a motivational set of rituals. I'm proposing that we find divergent or newer, richer ways of thinking about questions. Even if we use them in Tony's way, Tony's ritualistic way, we can use questions in a more complete form of expanding how we get along with reality and what reality will present to us, because a lot of what reality yields up to us, a lot of the windows through which we will see reality, will be shaped by the kind of inquiry we have. So if Tony's pushing the idea that we must have a drive and an intensity and something unstoppable, I would like to propose the idea that it's also valuable to have states of intense curiosity and intense fascination where discovery takes place. Because I believe, in my model of the world, that discovery is one of the most fundamental states you can be in. Even before you experience drive to do or accomplish, you've got to decide, how is this world made that I'm in? How does it work? What are its rules of engagement? What are the rules of operation? So on the second, so if you transition between watching the first one, and if you haven't watched it, or even if you have, I would recommend go back on your timeline just a little bit and go look at that Tony video again on rituals and think about the implications of it, okay? What are the implications of both rituals and questions? And then move forward past this point on the timeline and ask yourself, what are the implications of the metaphors he's giving on the second Tony videotape, which is the power of tiny differences, millimeters of difference. And he uses a golf metaphor to start off with. And that metaphor is very interesting. So go into your learning trances a little deeper, sink in there, and really experience what he might be saying about how that millimeter of difference of the club face hitting the ball affects where that ball goes. Where does it end up? And that's a very nice metaphor for how your life goes if you just make a millimeter of difference. So my question is this: what sorts of questions and what use of questions, and how can we employ questions to make those millimeter to tenth of a millimeter adjustments and refinements of the angle of the club face, which will ultimately depend on the outcome of our life or our lives or the lives of the people around us. And the third part is the YouTube that has the big question mark on it, that's the old Tony Robbins The Power of Questions audio tape. And to my knowledge, it only appeared as a cassette tape. It was never reissued. It's unfortunate because it's Tony at his best. It's really one of the high points of Tony is when he did that tape on The Power of Questions. If you ever can find that tape, get it, and if you can find a player, play it and listen to it, and listen to it several times and let that go in too. So this does kind of work together as a group, all right? So go back there, go back on your timeline, look at the Tony tape on rituals and questions, and really think about what he's saying, and maybe even check in with some of your learning trances and your states for expanded understanding. See how that works with those. Then move forward on the timeline, go to the next Tony YouTube, which is the Tony on the power of small differences, tiny differences, and how those make huge differences, massive differences, later on in your life, and then connect those two thoughts, okay? Let them join up. So, yes, asking questions and the types of rituals and the way you get up in the morning and you sit and you fill your mind with questions and curiosity and wonder, and that child's wonder of how the world works and what makes it the way it is, that's a great state to be in. Even before you enter the state of drive and intensity and must, you've got to know what it is you must do and why you must do it and what makes it so important to do. And then listen to that final Tony tape, which is just a big question mark, and absorb what he's saying with that. And let those things kind of mix in the vessel of your mind, those different ideas, and let it go back into the back of your mind, go back into a nice trance state, stay deep inside of you, maybe forget about it for a day or two, and then see what pops up into consciousness, what then reveals itself from taking some time with those Tonys and absorbing what they have to teach you. I think there's a very important lesson that is taken between the first one and the second one and the third one. They come together in a significant way. So go for that, and check you later.